Good afternoon everyone, this is Ola, and today we're going to be having a look at changing the colouring of your picture via adjustment layers and why they're so powerful, and also how you can just change the settings on individual layers as well. So I've got a piece of artwork I did here like 2-3 months ago, just so we don't get copyright issued. Now there's two ways to change the colours, and all these methods are basically in the same, but you can apply them in two ways. If you go up to image and adjustments, you'll see here we have a load of different ways in which to colorize our picture here. So we have gradient maps, we have threshold, we have posterize, we have invert. Some of these have shortcuts, and these are probably the first shortcuts in the program you should learn. Like Control M is like the one I use the most in the program. Control M and Control U, because between these two you can pretty much do whatever you want with the colors of your picture. You have color balance, which is Control B, which is useful as well, and then black and white, which is Control Shift Alt B, which is also useful. Now the difference between using these settings up here and coming down here and using an adjustment layer, as you can see, all the effects here look exactly the same as the ones we had up here. Now I can't actually break this menu off, but let's just have a look here. Brightness, contrast, levels, curves, adjustment. If we go up to here, you'll see, let me just select my layer. So again, you know, those are all here, the brightness, levels, curves, exposure, vibrance, etc, etc. So the difference is that if we apply them through an adjustment layer, an adjustment layer will apply the effect to every layer underneath it in this layer stack. So let me do that. I'm going to do one which is really easy to tell, which is black and white. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is just turn it off temporarily. Like any other layer, if you turn it off, it stops working. And what we're going to do is what I did the other day, which is make a couple shape layers. So I'm just going to make a couple gradiented shape layers. So there, and then I don't know, maybe like a circle. Not the point in this is that I'm showing you the power of an adjustment layer versus using something. Okay, so now we have one layer here which has this one solid, and then we have this layer here which has these two solids on it. Now if I drag the adjustment layer above these and turn it on, you'll see that not only is it applying the black and white effect to our horse, but also to this and to these shapes as well. So you can see the power of having an adjustment layer, because you can apply these effects to all of the things underneath it. Now if I only wanted it to apply it to the horse, then I would just drag it above these and keep the horse underneath it. So that is really, really, really powerful. The alternative way to do this is to select your layer, go up to image, adjustments, and then black and white. And you can do that here. Now these settings are changeable for the black and white filter. As you can see, it's basically taking all your magentas and then pushing them more towards dark or light. You can actually tint the whole thing. And you have those settings here as well. I just have them off the screen, so I'm just going to pull them on here. I have this menu on my second screen, and it's just because I have two screens. I'm trying to make the best use of my screen space. But as you can see here, we have the filter. Now the difference between the two of them is, or at least it used to be, that with an adjustment layer, this adjustment layer is always here and it's always editable. So if you change your mind down the line and you're like, I'm not sure I want the reds to be that dark, so I want to brighten them up, then you literally just double click on your adjustment layer, come to the properties and adjust it. If you can't see this properties panel, it'll be in Windows properties, I guess. There it is. So make sure that's ticked. The other good thing about doing it this way is you can then, you know how yesterday we had a look at the opacity, you can maybe just apply this effect maybe like at 25%, so you're just kind of slightly taking some of the color out. And so that is in itself really powerful. You can also change the way this blends, so you can overlay, and what this will do is it's applying a completely different effect. Now we're actually using the black and white effect to burn the lights and the darks and create a completely different effect. And the only way you're going to find this stuff out is by experimenting. Now I'm going to show you the difference between, there is actually, no, let me say this, there is in the new versions of After Effects, I think it's literally 2015 onwards, maybe 2014, but I can't remember when they added this. But if you right click, because what we just showed you is that if I go to here and apply the same, let's just apply the black and white effect, because that's what I've just shown you. Let's say we do it and we're kind of happy with it and hit OK. Now the difference is now those results are baked into this layer. If I want to, let's say I start like painting, so I'm going to create a new layer, change it to overlay as we saw yesterday, and again I'm just trying to ease you into these by doing these things over and over day by day, so that you start to get a sense of, oh yeah, I remember when he did that a couple of days ago. So if I start painting like red in here for whatever reason, and then I'm like, you know what, later on, like maybe like 2 hours later, I'm like, actually maybe this should be in color, and I'm like, well crap, because I've changed it to black and white now and it is black and white and I can't go back. Why did I not use an adjustment layer? So that is one downside of applying things through that layer panel. Difference is, in the new ones there is a way around this. So if you right click and go to convert to smart object, you're going to see this little like folded sheet over, and I'll explain smart objects themselves in a separate lesson at some point. But what you're going to see here is this kind of like little sheet, which means that this layer is now a smart object. What that means is that you can scale things down and up. In fact, I'm not going to show you that aspect today because I will literally be confusing you. I'm not trying to confuse you today. So what I'm going to do is just show you what I mean by the advantage of having a smart object. So I'm going to click on here and come to adjustments, and we're going to do exactly the same thing, black and white. So we're going to do our adjustments and we're going to hit OK. Now, difference is, if you have a look over here, you'll see smart filters and you'll see black and white. And what that means is you can turn the effect that you've added to just this layer. So if you look here, like we still have, if I delete that old adjustment layer, we still have these shapes that we have, but we can apply the black and white filter to just one layer, and that is super powerful. And if you double click on this, you'll get the blending option, so you can change the way, so we can apply it in the overlay mode like we did by applying the adjustment layer. I'm going to cancel that for now, and if I double click on the actual effect, I can bring it back and I can edit it at a later date. How cool is that, right? So yeah, this is probably for me the biggest change that Photoshop has made in the last like 2 versions, and it's something that used to be really annoying, because say I pressed Ctrl M on this layer and made a curves adjustment, just like this, and made a curves adjustment. So I'm going to duplicate this layer and just rasterize it, and for some reason my Control M is not working. Alright, let's do it this way. Let's go to here and curves. So if I made a curves adjustment like this and hit OK, that's it, I had lost it forever. Like, the only way to kind of make sure you still had old versions was to make duplicates of layers. So I would like duplicate this layer. Now to duplicate a layer, you can right click and just go to duplicate layer, which is there, or you can do Control J. The way I remember this when I was learning the program was duplicate. It sounds like it could be spelt with a J. So it might help you, it might not, I'm not going to say it will. But I would duplicate the layer and then like apply my curves to this layer instead. Here we go, curves. And then that way, if I wanted to go back to the old version, I still had a duplicate layer. But now with the new smart filters, you don't have to do that anymore. The filters are built in, and the only thing you have to do is double click to bring it back up, edit it. You can even turn them, on or off interactively. You can stack them. So let's say we wanted to apply a different adjustment. Let's just say hue saturation. So we wanted to change this to like purple. And again, you can mix these effects by, so maybe I only want the black and white effect to be like 22%. So it's kind of like desaturating the purple one. And you can change the order of these, which is important, because in this sense here we would have the hue saturation, which is making things more purple, and then by applying the black and white at 20%, we're taking 22% of the color out. Whereas if we did this the other way, what we would be doing in essence is first of all desaturating the original image and then shifting all those towards purple. And you can see if I change these two around that there's not a big difference, but if you have filters that are making a more marked effect on your composition, then it's just good to remember that the layer stack is just like the layers. The first one is applied first, and then so on and so forth. So that's an introduction to layer styles. Tomorrow I'm going to go in and show you what these layer styles all actually do. I'm not sure if I will do it in one lesson or two, depending on time, but we'll see when we get to it. So thanks for watching, guys, and go play with adjustment layers and smart objects because they're awesome.